Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoBalls Talk. I'm ProtoMet.
This is my recycled balls.
And today we are continuing on with our Scooby-Doo kind of marathon. Bi-marathon? It's every other video. Today we'll be talking about the first entry in the Hanna-Barbera Superstar 10 series, Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers.
The second or best one out of the bunch.
Now, as I don't know a whole lot about the Hanna-Barbera Superstar 10, other than that it was a series of TV movies, only 3 of which have ever had home releases, as far as I'm aware. And all 3 of them being Scooby-Doo movies.
Let me guess. I can almost take a guess here. Boo Brothers?
Yep.
Ghoul School?
Yep.
Reluctant Werewolf?
Yep.
God. What a murderer's row. What a killer's row there.
And this is the first of those 3 movies. Should we get to talking about the plot first?
No, I just... for those of you just looking at that poster there, my God, there's a lot to talk about.
Just with the poster there. For one, Shaggy's outfit is not right for this movie.
What the fuck? Why is Shaggy wearing a hat? That's my...
I think it's a reference to the bedroom scene.
Okay, but okay, whatever. Shaggy wears... So, in this one, this is the first movie where Shaggy...
The first movie in which Shaggy wears the red shirt, blue pants, black shoes.
Which I prefer. I don't care what anybody says.
That change in outfit first appeared in 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, along with a random and, quite frankly, completely... Oh, how do I put this? Daphne's just whole appearance completely changes to the point where, if not for the fact that you already knew that the character was Daphne, you'd wonder who this character was. It's that drastic of a change.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But she's not relevant to this movie. And what is not present on the poster that you guys are seeing on the YouTube version of this is Scrappy-Doo is present in this movie. He's not on the poster, but he is in the movie.
Which is weird.
Not necessarily, given that by the time that these more recent home media releases came out, it was abundantly clear that people didn't actually care about Scrappy.
He's fine, though.
He is fine for the time, but afterwards, in hindsight, people really didn't care for his time with the series.
Anyway, so let's also talk about the Boo Brothers, who are a bunch of fucking goofs.
They're essentially a parody of the Three Stooges.
Not only are they parody of the Three Stooges, but it feels like one of them is Moe and the other 2 is Curly. There is no Larry.
Larry Joe.
No.
Hey, it's not my fault that they actually did show up in Scooby-Doo.
They did. The Three Stooges did, in fact, show up.
And for whatever reason, they were really short.
I think they were still alive. I think Larry and Moe were still alive because they passed away, I believe, in 1976.
I don't know too much about facts about the Three Stooges. However,
all you need to know is that
what is even more bizarre is Laurel and Hardy also showed up with Scooby-Doo. Those 2 guys were long dead by that point.
Yep.
But Hanna-Barbera had a cartoon with them.
Fuck, I mean, we had the Harlem Globetrotters show up.
Hey, they were still very much alive and relevant.
They're still relevant.
Fair play. But that's about a whole other set of movies with air quotes.
You're that bubblegum tape? Well, I sure ain't his grandma. That's a Futurama reference. Clyde laughed derisively. Aha, aha, aha.
Oh, but yeah, this movie starts off a bit odd, but in a fun way. It starts off with a bit of a musical number of some like witchy voice singing the opening lyrics, and whenever she mentions the Boo Brothers, she's like, "Yeah, no, I don't want to mess with those guys."
Yeah, no, those guys are scary for reasons not of their ability.
They're scary for some reason. Not even ghosts want to deal with them.
They're the Boo Brothers.
And the opening bit is honestly really fun. It's really high energy and really fun. And this is the first point that I want to talk about with this movie. The soundtrack for this movie is fantastic.
That's pretty good.
I wouldn't say that it's all terribly memorable, but it does really fit with what's happening.
Other than the opening theme, I don't remember a single real song.
But you can admit that the songs were very appropriate for how they were used.
It's not like the fucking earworms in Goes Hollywood, which I still do have stuck in my head from time to time.
Yeah, the only musical bit is the opening bit, which...
It's so memorable and so goofy and so, like, campy. It's amazing.
It seems like it's setting up the plot for the movie, but really it's not. Because
the only bit of plot development you get in that entire opening scene is, "Hey, Shaggy, you're my nephew. You've inherited my mansion."
Yeah, and then I guess ghosts scare Scooby and Shaggy out of their house, and Scooby has to go back to get Scrappy, who's still asleep. But when we actually cut to them at the proper start of the movie, they don't mention anything about that. They're just down in the South to claim Shaggy's inheritance.
The South.
Yes.
I believe Louisiana.
Probably.
Based on their accent. Based on their outrageous accents.
Yeah, they got quite the Southern accent.
Well,
but with a bit of a French twang.
Well, hello, mister. How's the kids? And the dog? And the wife?
But yeah, they're... Oh man, this movie gets a bit crazy.
This movie is like the mad world of Scooby-Doo. Because everybody's after the same thing. Well, mostly.
We pretty quickly get introduced to an escaped gorilla, the police sheriff, Bixby.
Sheriff Bigsby, yep.
Eventually we end up getting introduced to the butler.
Farquaad. The butler of these grounds for some 60 years. And the guy only looks like... The guy doesn't look that old.
We got the two hillbilly neighbors.
Oh my god. Sadie Mae and Billy Bob.
We'll go into more depth with these characters as they get introduced, but...
There's so many characters, and then you've got the Headless Horseman.
You got the ghost of the Colonel.
You got the ghost of a Colonel, you got the skeleton. And then you get the Boo Brothers, who show up not yet.
But anyway, they're on the... Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy are in, not the Mystery Machine, but some Jeep. And they're on their way to...
I think they're in a truck.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like a Jeep.
Whatever.
But they're on their way to Shaggy's uncle's plantation, that Shaggy has now inherited because his uncle passed away. And along the way, they have a bit of car problems. Scooby encounters the escaped gorilla, which scares the crap out of him. And at some point, they encounter the sheriff, Bixby, before finally making it to the plantation. And I think the Jeep actually disappears, goes missing at one point. I think maybe they tried calling... I don't remember.
What now?
I don't remember.
So they get stuck. So they get stuck in the mud.
That's what it is.
Get stuck in the mud, and they're trying to pull it out. And Scooby sees the gorilla. The escaped gorilla, and he nopes right the fuck out of there.
Pushing
the vehicle as far away as possible, leaving behind
Shaggy and Scrappy.
Well, Shaggy's in the vehicle.
Oh.
And Shaggy's like, that's enough.
Oh, right, yeah.
You don't have to push any harder.
Scrappy got out to help. He just falls over when Scooby tails it. And of course they speed past the sheriff.
And the sheriff's like, oh, what in tarnation?
Pulls them over.
Not before he runs into a billboard.
He does run into a billboard.
It's a funny little gag.
I just want to say, overall, the visual production quality in this movie is fantastic.
I mean, it's better than...
It's quite a bit better than the actual shows, which makes sense since it's a movie. Given quite a bit of production value. And the sheriff does accidentally run into the billboard, knocking the teeth out of the billboard's model.
Yeah. It's like a toothbrush commercial with the guy showing his white teeth.
Brilliant white teeth. And then when the sheriff gets out, there's only one loose tooth left. It's a nice visual gag. But the sheriff does pull them over, and upon learning where they're headed, is like, yeah, no, you don't want to go there. Trust me.
Yeah.
Some say that the place is haunted. That was probably not the right accent, I'm sorry.
It's like, oh man, it's like...
But before the sheriff can get involved any further, he's pulled away by the radio, telling him that of the I think it was a train accident.
So what happened was the carnival's train just derailed, and now there's animals all over creation. You're gonna need to go down and help out. And so the sheriff's like, all right, I'm letting you guys off with a warning, but I warned you, don't go to that place.
But yeah,
get gone.
That actually explains where the ape comes from. So
yeah,
that's not a dangling plot thread. That is.
Most of these are explained, except maybe Billy Bob.
But he's Billy Bob.
He's Billy Bob. He's an asshole. Fuck him.
But the trio do manage to make it to the plantation.
Yep.
How do I not remember as much about this movie as I
So then
should?
they get stuck in the mud again.
Again.
Like the truck's sinking.
And they have to go in.
Well, before that, they're chased by the Headless Horseman. That's a small...
They're chased to the plantation by the Headless Horseman.
Yep.
Or by a Headless Horseman. Because there's multiple Headless Horsemen in the Scooby-Doo series. I can talk good.
Yeah.
But they do manage to make it into the plantation and get inside before they're caught. Before they're done got get.
And they're introduced to the butler fuckwad, who, like I said, managed the estate for 60 years with the colonel.
He is a somewhat short, hunchbacked man.
With crazy eyes.
Yes, but those crazy eyes are always covered up with a pair of sunglasses. And insert, I wear my sunglasses at night gag right here. But he is not terribly pleased that Shaggy has come to inherit the plantation, because he was hoping he could have it all because of how loyally he served the colonel up until his death.
Yep.
So he's a little miffed about that.
A little. He's really kind of a minor character in all of this.
He's a bit of a fun character, though.
Yeah. He does a bunch of dumb shit.
Scooby encounters the ape again inside the plantation, and by this point the sheriff has come back to do his sheriffly duties, I suppose. And Scooby tells everybody about the ape, and Farquaad is like, "Oh no, that's not just an ape. That's a ghost ape." And his explanation is because in the next room, which Scooby just came out of, there's a stuffed gorilla just on display in there.
That's Bimbo, Sheriff.
He's dead.
He hasn't been among the living for 15 years. Oh, well, why didn't you say so?
Except, of course, the actual escaped ape is also there, and
Yeah.
and Scooby knows. Scooby knows. Except he thinks it's a ghost ape instead of, the actual escaped ape that was already established. The sheriff leaves again, and it's at about this point that the trio end up learning about the hidden treasure of the colonels, and Farquaad wants to get his hands on that treasure, but doesn't have a clue as to how to go about finding it.
Yep. So yeah, there's where we get the plot.
So that's basically the premise of this movie. Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy are on a treasure hunt, essentially, through what is effectively a haunted mansion. And I honestly feel that this movie, out of all three of these Superstar 10 movies, is the closest to the original Scooby-Doo format.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Because they're going around trying to solve a mystery.
Yeah.
With costumed monsters. And real monsters.
And real monsters.
They decide they're going to go to bed. But doesn't quite go as well because it would appear that the plantation really is haunted. And that's a big no-no for Scoob and Shag, as longtime fans will probably be aware. So Scrappy decides to look through the phone book to see if they can call up any ghost exterminators, and they do find a listing for what the ad claims are to be some of the best ghost exterminators. And they've actually got a deal going on where you can get 3 for the price of 1. So they call up this group known as the Boo Brothers, who immediately come over and are revealed to be ghosts themselves.
Takes one to catch one, or in our case, 3. Which, I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'm pretty sure that's an insult.
So yeah, we've been introduced to the Boo Brothers, who become a recurring element throughout this film.
And honestly, let's be honest here, they don't really do a damn thing.
Not a whole lot
to further the plot, except maybe in like 3 scenes.
They're really just kind of here to be comic relief, kind of doing their own thing, and occasionally getting involved in the actual plot of the show or the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's also around this point. I could be wrong. I'll skip and maybe they get introduced later.
Sadie Mae and...
Yeah.
Well, so the reason they decided to stay the night is because they were planning on leaving, and their
Jeep disappeared.
Yeah.
Without a trace.
Without a trace. It got stuck in the mud, basically. Or sucked into quicksand or whatever.
Basically. Quick mud.
But, so they go to look around, and yeah, Sadie Mae and Billy Bob are introduced a little bit later.
Okay. At one point...
So Shaggy's like, I'm not confident in your abilities. I'm going to need to see some proof that you guys can catch ghosts. So
they pull up a wind-up ghost and go about showing that they are completely incompetent at actually catching ghosts. Even fake ones.
They cause some mass destruction there. Even Lord Farquaad gets involved. So much shit happens. So much shit happens. Scooby keeps getting harassed by the gorilla, who seems to have taken a liking to him. Which is just, I don't know how to feel about that.
Just grin and bear it.
Just grin and bear it. Ignore it. It was the 80s. It was 87. Who cares? At one point, the fake ghost turns on a turntable. Or a, phonograph. And everybody starts dancing and having a party, and that's when Sadie Mae and Billy Bob are introduced.
Sadie Mae and Billy Bob are siblings who are next door neighbors. Sadie Mae immediately takes a liking to Shaggy, but Billy Bob, learning that learning that Shaggy is the nephew of
a Beauregard.
Colonel Beauregard, the guy who owned the plantation before passing away, immediately decides, well, it's time to get to feuding again, because his family has been in a feud with the Beauregards for, like, ever.
Oh, like, not on 185 years.
So Billy Bob wants to kill Shaggy.
Yes, he literally wants to kill Shaggy.
That's his entire motivation. No personal vendetta, except that the feud is an incredibly personal vendetta. It's just that he literally wants to kill Shaggy for no reason other than his heritage. Which is really messed up when you think about it, but this is clearly a reference to the Hatfields and the McCoys, so...
Yeah, Also, I love the fact that this guy fucking Billy Bob. It's not just Billy Bob either. He's like, hey boys, we got us a Beauregard. And from out of the woods, there's just a bunch of voices. Beauregard.
But Billy Bob's the one that keeps pursuing Shaggy. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sadie Mae just wants to jump Shaggy's bones.
Which is also questionable, but it was the 80s, so apparently woman-on-man violence was okay.
It's not so much violence, I mean, unless you're talking about,
assault. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's assault. This movie is very weird, looking back.
But it is really fun.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So, after getting away from Sadie Mae and Billy Bob, Scooby and Shaggy decide, you know what?
We're hungry.
We're hungry. We haven't eaten anything all movie yet. We should rectify that, because that is our main character trait, as established in literally every piece of fiction prior to this. Ever. So, let's go get some food from the fridge. Open up the fridge. Pretty much all the food has been eaten by the Boo Brothers.
You fucking assholes. I can't believe it. They do things like Shaggy is pretty cool throughout most of the movie, but the Boo Brothers just continue to do shit that annoy him.
He is surprisingly a bit toned down with regards to his cowardly character, established in previous stuff, but I feel it's kind of necessary for this movie, so I'm not complaining about it, just pointing it out. Scooby is identical to how he's always been.
I think it has more to do with Shaggy's just annoyed. That's the way I feel about it. He doesn't want to go on this. He's just constantly annoyed. And he's just like, I just
want to go home.
I just want to go home. Fine, if we do this, can we go home? He just wants out.
After chasing off the Boo Brothers for eating all the food, they decide to check the freezer just in case the Boo Brothers decide to leave any of that area untouched. And they manage to find what they initially think are just ice cubes. Except that it's a diamond. A diamond.
Yeah.
As well as a clue that indicates that they are now on a treasure hunt. And to go searching for, what was the clue? Something about the house's knee.
So they had to look for a part of the house with its knee out.
Yes, that is the clue. So they, of course, go outside to try figuring out what this clue is. Of course, they encounter Billy Bob and Sadie Mae again.
God.
The ape.
The ape. I think they run into another ghost at some point.
I'm pretty sure it's the Colonel's ghost who tells them to leave.
Leave this place! Leave this place!
And eventually, Scrappy almost gets hit by a falling brick that's fallen out of the dilapidated chimney. It's at this point that Scrappy has figured out what the clue is.
So they go to the chimney.
Where they encounter the skeleton ghost.
And diamond and another clue.
They do find the diamond and the clue, and then the skeleton ghost.
And they almost die by falling off the house. Saved by the gutter.
But they do manage to survive and get back inside to look at the next clue.
At which point, here comes in, like, a very comedic joke, but it makes 0 sense considering what they are. So the Boo Brothers also come out of the chimney and they're stuck. Because all 3 of them are trying to get out at once. So I think it's Miko.
Probably.
Miko, Freako, and Shriko. So.
Yep. No, it's Shriko, Sleeko, and Miko.
I don't fucking know. I think Sleeko's the one with the hat.
They've all got hats.
You know what I mean.
I'm pretty sure Sleeko's the one with the aviator hat.
Oh, okay. So Shriko.
And Miko is the one with the baseball cap.
Okay, so Shriko
is the head ghost.
Yeah, the head ghost. He's the head brother.
He's the Mo of the trio.
Very easily the Mo of the trio. And
Sleeko is the Curly. Or no, the Larry. The Larry. And Miko is the Curly Joe.
I guess. But then again, he also does which is a
Larry?
Which is a curly thing. Anyway, they're stuck in the chimney. I really don't fucking care. They're stuck in the chimney. And so, fuck. So Mo just I'm just gonna refer to them as this dude's name.
Okay.
So Mo just punches down Curly Joe, and Mo is like, alright, you go help him, Larry. Larry goes to help them, and he's like, don't worry, details, don't worry about it, I gotcha. Holding on to Shaggy's arms. See, the joke there is as Shaggy points out, you're a ghost. How would you be able to hold on to me? And as Larry points out, details. Because
what's happening is Shaggy and Scooby are dangling from the roof because of the skeleton ghost that popped up and surprised them. So they're trying to not fall to their deaths. And Sleeko, he tries to help, and it goes badly. Because turns out he doesn't have nearly as much strength as he thought he did, so he ends up falling with the two. With the boy and his dog.
Yeah.
They do survive the fall. I want to make a joke about even Sleeko, even though he's dead.
He's dead now.
So he's dead now?
He's dead
Wait,
now.
wasn't he dead already?
Yes.
Well, he's dead now.
He's dead now. Even further dead. There's dead and then there's deader. He's deader.
But they did manage to get away from the skeleton ghost, and they've still got the next clue to work out. Which is... Awkward pause.
Yeah?
What's the next clue? I can't remember what the next clue was.
Let me get it up. Oh, man. We have to... Like, the movie's fun and all, but fuck all if we ever remember shit. This is our problem.
Yeah. It's certainly not the movie's fault. It's our faulty memories.
We're just shit hosts, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah! Okay. So they found it from the chimney.
Yep.
So you're near the family jewels than before. A broken key unlocks the door.
That is the next clue.
So they go back inside the house.
Shenanigans happen. Eventually they find a piano, and Scooby and Shaggy get scared by, I think, the ape who's hanging around, and hide in the piano.
And no, they get scared by the skeleton.
Okay, they get scared by the skeleton ghost who pops up again.
Just randomly. Then they go to hide.
In the piano.
And Scrappy basically insults the skeleton to the point where he just sort of runs off. Or so what happens is the ape shows up, and the skeleton is just like, fuck no!
And then Scrappy insults the ape.
Not yet.
Yeah. Guess that's later.
Yeah, that's later.
But then Scrappy goes to play the piano, because he thinks a skeleton ghost is hidden in there. Turns out it's Shaggy and Scooby.
Yep. And they just go...
And they actually get upset. Shaggy actually gets upset with Scrappy because he was playing the piano so hard that he broke one of the keys.
You broke one of the keys, you doink!
And then the wall opens up. Piano keys! The broken piano key! So they go into the wall.
And then they get locked in.
Because the ghost hits the key again to close the wall.
Yay.
I mean, they do manage to find the next jewel and the next clue, but they're stuck in the wall and actually need the Boo Brothers' help to get them out. Which is the first instance that I could offhand remember the Boo Brothers actively helping out in the plot.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the roof incident. So the Boo Brothers do help to get them out by, I think it's Sligo who goes to the wall to play the piano and just simply plays the piano. He's a good piano player, but he's supposed to be hitting the broken key, not just simply playing the piano.
What a douchebag.
Eventually...
There's a way you can get out. Just go through the walls. Oh, okay. Wham! God, fucking like Scooby plays the idiot in this. Like he is a dumbass in this movie for some reason.
I chalk it up to more him. It just kind of how they had been portraying him recently.
I guess.
I've been watching the stuff that had come out prior to this.
I guess.
More, so.
I mean, he was smarter in the original series.
He was a bit smarter, but he was a little bit of a doof. But here he's a bit more of a doof.
That's probably the biggest problem with this movie is Scooby is like a total non-factor for the entire thing. It's just Shaggy and Scrappy actually solve.
Yeah.
It's just Scrappy and Shaggy solving shit, and Scooby's just along for the ride.
Don't get us wrong. This is actually a really good Scooby-Doo movie.
It's
just Scooby doesn't factor into it a whole lot, despite being present for every scene.
Yeah.
But they do manage to get out of the wall, and they read the next clue with Sligo's help, as he turns his head into a light bulb for some reason.
Because it's too dark in there.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, like, there's no explanation. He's a ghost. That's the explanation for how he can do that.
Yep. Look for a relative who is quite old, whose face cannot look, and whose hands cannot hold. Is the next clue.
And they pretty quickly discover that it's the grandfather clock.
They find it's the grandfather clock pretty easily, and they
like that one's almost a given. Like they practically find it immediately after reading the clue. Like, I think they encounter one of the ghosts again, but then just immediately realize it's a clock. They get the next clue.
Oh, man. There is no pendulum in this clock, so what does it lack besides a talk?
And Scrappy immediately realizes that what it lacks is a tick.
Attic.
The attic! So they go up to the attic to search for the next clue.
And here's where we see Scooby as an asshole.
Oh, yeah?
So Shaggy's like, all right, everybody, start looking around. And Scooby starts messing around. And Shaggy's like, would you knock that off? So Scooby is like, all right, motherfucker. Listen here, you motherfucker. Gets on a white shirt.
White sheet?
A white shirt.
Okay.
Puts it over himself. Does it and covers up his head and shit.
Right.
And arms. Woo! Whoa! It scares Shaggy, and Shaggy's like, God damn it, Scoob! Fucking asshole. Worthless dog. Stupid dog, you make me look bad! Ooga booga booga! Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, that is just so fun.
So Scrappy finds it. Scrappy finds the clue, and Shaggy goes over to look at it.
The clue is with a necklace in this instance instead of a diamond.
Yep.
As in the previous instances.
It changes around.
Right, they get like different types of jewelry, but
I swear we missed a scene where Four Quad stole something.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
That's why I actually remember that. It's the necklace.
Right.
Okay. So after finding the necklace and the clue, they encounter...
No, he does steal a diamond.
Oh, right, because Farquaad is like, no, it's my diamond. And Shaggy's like, oh, just let him have it.
Let him have it. He steals one of the diamonds, and Shaggy's like too annoyed to fucking care at this point.
Shaggy also has the really good point. It's like, well, what's one diamond? We're looking for a whole treasure trove. A single one diamond is just pittance. Let's keep going. But in the attic, after finding the necklace and the clue, they encounter a headless ghost. Or a ghost coat, I guess. With, like, skeleton hands. Ooh. And Scrappy does attempt to get the necklace back, but the ghost disappears down a hole. And they follow it down and discover that Farquaad has the necklace and get it back from him. They then read off the next clue, which is essentially that they're on the top now, but they need to go lower. What are you when you're not the buyer?
Yeah. For the next clue, don't look any higher. Think of what you are when you're not the buyer, which is the seller. And they immediately...
I don't think they immediately figure that out. I think some other stuff ends up happening, but they do figure it out eventually.
I guess.
I think this may have been an instance where Billy Bob and Sally may show up again.
Maybe. No, it's the next one.
Yeah.
So they go to the cellar. Oh, man. So they go to the cellar, and they're looking around, and they find a...
They find a cold storage area with a lot of ham.
Well, they also find a cannon.
Yeah, but it's not like it can fire. Until it does.
Boom!
It's Slicko. It's Slicko just...
I really got you guys, didn't I?
Slicko being an asshole. Fuck you, Slicko.
He's an asshole throughout the entire movie, but goddamn if he isn't funny.
He does have the best scenes out of all three of the brothers.
Nyah, nyah, nyah.
Like, he is the one Boo Brother character that I enjoy the most, simply because he does the most throughout this movie.
And then the cannon is actually lit up. And then he goes through the fucking wall. Oh, god damn! Oh.
So then they find the cold storage area with all the hanging meats.
Yep.
And Scooby is just chowing down until he comes across a ham that doesn't yield to his teeth and opens up, revealing another diamond and another clue.
Yeah. A gold and diamond tiara.
And another clue.
And another clue.
And what is that clue?
The next clue you seek is large and flat. It's the kind of stone you use as a hat. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get that. So they go outside.
So they go to the cemetery.
Yeah. And there begins the longest, chase out of the entire...
Yeah, they have I think they encounter the Colonel's ghost.
Yep.
The skeleton ghost as well is there, popping up from underneath graves.
Pretty much.
I think they end up finding an underground tunnel that leads back to the house at one point. Eventually they just end up going all over the place and wind up back in the cemetery where they find a stone bust of the Colonel.
Well, they find it, and then they go everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, then
they get to the stone bust of the Colonel.
See the hat moving.
They see the hat moving and freak out, and then Scrap realizes, oh wait, that was just the wind, which I call bullshit, because unless that was an incredibly strong wind or a really light hat, how the hell? Also, how the hell did it not get blown off in the period between the Colonel's death and Shaggy and the gang showing up to search for it?
Just It just be that way, yo.
But they do find the next clue and the next piece of jewelry, so let's move on.
Yep.
We are kind of rushing through it, but this movie is a lot of fun, but it is a bit fast-paced.
I recommend watching it yourself just to get the full experience.
Yeah, because we
really listening to us doesn't do it justice.
Yeah. Like, we're doing a terrible job at describing how good this movie is.
You're nearing the end of this obstacle course, so if you go buggy, you won't need a horse.
And, of course, they end up realizing...
Horse and buggy.
That one was pretty obvious.
Yeah. So they go...
They go to the stables where they discover the horse that had been chasing them on the drive to the plantation now there.
It's a fake.
It's not moving at all.
It's an animatronic.
It's a robot horse.
Yeah. How do you like that? Oh.
And shenanigans end up happening. Scooby ends up riding the horse and chasing the sheriff, who tells him to push the button to shut it off. Which Shaggy, after all this is said and done, immediately points out. It's like, how did he know that there was a button, that the horse had a button?
Yeah, I don't. Questionable.
Shaggy is surprisingly good at solving mysteries in this one.
Yeah.
He's basically picking up the slack for Daphne, Velma, and Fred not being there.
Yeah, pretty much. He's basically all three of them in this movie.
Yeah. I think Sadie Mae chases Shaggy around in the buggy.
So they're in the buggy, and Sadie Mae shows up and starts sexual
harassment panda-ing him.
I was about to do that joke. Sexual harassment panda.
I beat you to it.
Yeah, I know you did.
I just didn't do it as nearly as good as you.
And then the buggy gets loose and just goes down the hill into the well.
It crashes.
Sadie Mae fucking goes flying into the tree. Yoo-hoo! Won't you help me down?
Shaggy's like, nope.
Nope. Oh, that son of a bitch.
Playing hard to get. It's like, bitch, he doesn't want anything to do with you.
Bitch, your brother's trying to kill him. You think he wants anything to do with you? Kids, just say no. When a random southern girl starts kissing on you, just say no.
Yes. Yes.
You'll survive in the long run.
But anyway, the buggy crashes, there's hay all over, and Scrappy digs right in and finds the next clue, along with the next piece of jewelry. What is the clue this time again?
Hold on. To get to the bottom of things is the trick. Think how you're feeling when you're not sick.
And of course, they're right next to the well.
Yeah.
They actually crashed the buggy into the well.
They fucking lucked themselves into that.
Yeah, admittedly. So they decide to go down into the well.
So they send Scrappy down, and down he goes.
And then they follow after him.
Out of fright.
Because Billy Bob's shown up with the gun and ends up shooting the rope that has the bucket for the well.
Yo.
So now they're stuck down in the well.
God, and there's a great scene where Billy Bob's getting ready to taunting them, saying, "All right, it's time to die."
He's practically Buffalo Billing them.
Basically.
I'm gonna kill you. Also put the lotion on the skin or else it gets hose again. And Sadie...
Put the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
And well... I've never actually seen that movie in its entirety.
Dude, Buffalo Bill's amazing, and like I like Hannibal Lecter in that movie. I like Anthony Hopkins. I like Anthony Hopkins, but Buffalo Bill's actor is so much fun. Put the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Ah.
That movie came out before or after this one?
That came out in '91, I believe.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
But anyway, while Billy Bob's taunting, Sadie Mae sneaks up behind him and actually uses her Herculean strength to tie his blunderbuss into a knot. So when Billy Bob goes to shoot Shaggy, the muzzle is actually facing right towards his face, so he ends up shooting himself.
Doesn't die, of course.
He doesn't die because this is a kid's movie.
See, here's the thing that makes that funny. Shaggy could die at any point. And here this guy just brushes off a shotgun to the face. Like, what the fuck?
To be a bit fair, the bullet had to go a bit of ways before reaching his face, so it lost a bit of its impact.
Oof.
I mean, she did tie it up.
Yeah, it is a long face. Oh, man. So anyway, they get the thing.
So they're stuck down in the tunnel.
So Shaggy sits against the wall and falls over.
Falls through the wall. Similar to how Freddy does in the opening credit sequence of the original series. Don't you wave your hand at me.
I'm waving it off. That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Anyway, they go into the Civil War storage.
Yeah, complete with cannons.
Don't know why. It's like they're shooting Gettysburg in there.
Shit, no, I think this is the scene with the cannon.
No.
Oh.
No, there was another cannon in the cellar.
Okay.
No, so I imagine they're shooting Gettysburg down there, getting ready for it. Gettysburg is a 1993 historical.
Maybe the Colonel was a reenactor.
I'm pretty sure it's well established he was a
Southern man.
He was a Southern man in the Civil War.
Which makes this the second time somebody connected.
My good old friend Scooby-Doo.
Second time.
Cousin Eldahad.
Yeah, this is the second time in the series.
Cousin Elma.
That someone has some connection to some Confederate dude.
And my good friend Scooby-Doo. Man, dude, that movie.
That is some good season 1 shit right there.
What is that? That's A Night for a Fright? Or...
No, I'm pretty sure that was the first. That's the first episode.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
It's not a clue for Scooby. Hold on, I will be right back.
We'll be right back. Intermission. But yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. It's just we're not really doing it much justice, and that might be partially my fault as I'm not really paying attention. Only half paying attention, really. That said, so the clue is, so they...
The episode is A Night of Fright is No Delight.
Right. See, I was close.
We're close. I was...
Anyway, so they find a clue at the end of the tunnel, and it basically is, at the end of this tunnel there are many more pearls, but on the way, many more perils. So they decide, okay, let's go down this fucking hallway.
That one's, yeah, it's just a straightforward clue. It just tells them, yeah, no, just go that way. I figured out what my confusion was. The name of the first episode is What a Night for a Night. So I was getting that confused with another one that used night as part of a rhyming scheme.
Oh, well. So yeah, they go down the hallway, and then they notice the Colonel Ghost. I want you to leave this place. Now suffer the consequences. And then he just turns a lever. And I'm surprised this fucking geek didn't have any complaints about it.
That's because I was waiting for this. How the fuck did he know there was a lever? Also, why is there just randomly a lever down in these tunnels?
It's a Colonel Ghost.
Shut
the fuck up.
Oh, God.
Actually, spoiler alert, I don't think the Colonel Ghost is actually a ghost.
Well, not this Colonel Ghost.
Not this Colonel Ghost, no.
The actual Colonel Ghost now. He's a real Colonel Ghost.
He's the real Colonel Ghost.
But yeah, that begs the question, how did he know about this lever? Because...
It's a Scooby-Doo movie, as you explained to me.
Fair point.
Yeah.
You sure showed me. I'm gonna go over into the corner and cry for a little bit.
Okay.
See a little bit.
Anyways, so they escape all the traps and they find the next clue, and the next clue is There's no mystery about this clue. Inside Bear Cave, the jewels are in plain view.
So that's even more straightforward than the one before.
My God, man.
I had chili for lunch. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I had a lot of chili. I had 2 cans of chili.
Why?
Because they were the next thing on my schedule to eat.
I had steak and watermelon. That was all I had. I didn't say chili. Oh, boy.
Steak and watermelon.
Steak and watermelon. Not like Salisbury steak and watermelon and strawberries. That's what I had for lunch. Work did not have a bountiful meal today. Tomorrow we've got sausages and sauerkraut and dumplings, so that should be good. Anyways, they go
So they head to Bear Cave. Along the way,
more shenanigans.
Along the way, they encounter the ape. Along the way, Scooby decides to start picking berries off a bush and ends up picking the bear's nose, which just reminds me of this one joke gag from Rocko's Modern Life where another character is also picking berries off a bush and ends up picking what turns out to not be berries, and the bear just runs off grabbing his junk.
Oh.
And yeah, Rocko's Modern Life was a show that you can be legitimately surprised just how much they got away with as far as content.
Yeah.
So anyway, the bear chases them around. They get to the cave. Partly thanks to the bear. They do manage to get away from the bear somehow. I can't remember how.
They just escape it.
They just escape it. They go in. They find the jewel right up on a stack of rocks.
Oh no, what happens is Billy Bob shoots at them and he accidentally shoots the bear.
Which distracts the bear long enough for them to escape.
Yeah. Billy Bob gets so fucking crap beat out of him. He gets attacked by the gorilla, by his own sister several times over. Oh man, there's also the scene where So Busby keeps showing up at random intervals.
Yeah.
And Billy Bob shoots off one of the lights. Dude,
shoots the sheriff's belt, causing his pants to fall down.
So he shoots the light off the police car, and he's like, "All right, that's it, Billy Bob. I'm giving you a citation."
Like, the sheriff is incredibly lenient for a guy going around shooting at people.
And then he gets the belt shooting off, and he's like, "Shooting off the pants of an officer of the law. That's 2 tickets.
That's 2 citations.
That's 2 citations." This motherfucker would let a serial killer go off with just a warning. My God.
And eventually we find out why.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, they make it to Bear Cave, and they find the jewel and the clue just on a stack of rocks. Shaggy has to get up on Scooby to reach it, and nearly falls to his death because, hot damn, that was not a secure place. That was a really high up place, and really not all that secure. But they do get the clue, and they manage to survive, and they start heading back to the plantation to read it. And along the way, they're being pursued by Billy Bob and Sadie Mae.
Oh my God, it's a great. So it's a great scene. So the next clue. So they find the clue.
It's a great scene that has
Shaggy.
So
the next clue.
I will stop you right here because I want to talk about this scene.
Give me a second.
Okay.
The clue is. Go to a place that covers the tide to find the last clue just here inside.
And I realize it's a pier because it's spelled that way.
Or the boathouse, at least.
The boathouse.
So they're walking to the boathouse.
And Shaggy is just kind of commenting on how he kind of feels like he's being watched.
Sometimes it feels like somebody's following me. Of course, that's not true. I can't have that. I can't think like that all the time. Meanwhile, right behind him, Sadie Mae and
Billy Bob are vying for positions and getting him. All the while being completely quiet. Like at one point, Shaggy even turns his head towards to basically face the audience, and somehow doesn't notice them behind him.
Despite all the noise they're making, too.
Or all the noise they should be making. Because it is a rather quiet scuffle between the two siblings.
So yeah, they eventually don't get him. He gets away.
I think that's actually...
That scene is a solid, 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes of Shaggy talking and them going back and forth.
And it is well worth it.
So they make it to the boathouse.
Yep. I think that was actually the last time that those two show up.
Yeah. That's the last time they show up. So they make it to
They just make a...
we forgot about them. We forgot about one of them. So, if you haven't noticed, we've kind of forgotten about the Boo Brothers.
Yeah.
Entire...
Yeah, they, again, really don't factor in too much outside of being part of the title.
So after the cellar scene, they manage to make it back to the main floor, and that's when Shaggy has just had enough of them because they throw a fucking party.
The Boo Brothers have thrown a party and invited a bunch of relatives of theirs, completely without asking for permission. And Shaggy is just like, fuck it, get the hell out of here. Not even doing what we're supposedly paying you for.
Not quite yet. He's like, all right, well, what's the food at least?
It's not that good.
Not that good. And that's the greatest. Throw a party, invite your relatives. Yeah, it's frowned upon, but bring bad food.
That's it. Get out.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Shaggy is not having this.
He's
Shaggy does not abide.
The dude abides.
But Shaggy does not.
But Shaggy doesn't. Scooby-Doo don't!
So the Boo Brothers tell their relatives to leave, and they decide, okay, let's get to business. And Shaggy's like, no, I meant everybody needs to leave.
I just was reminded of something when I said Scooby-Doo don't. So, there's a video going around on YouTube of the cast of the original Metal Gear game doing like a codec call.
The one I told you about.
Yeah. The Lolly Low is scheming against us. Lolly no, Snake. It's 1 in the morning. I'm going to sleep. No, Colonel, I'm outside your house. Otacon, can you give me a ride home? Ah, shit. Oh, man.
Definitely check that out. Go seek that out.
Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. Oh, man. Good shit.
I completely forgot to show you this, so I'm glad that you found it out yourself.
I just randomly found it on YouTube, so yeah.
I am glad, because that is worth checking out.
Yeah.
So anyway, Shaggy has finally gotten so fed up with the Boo Brothers that he decides to kick them out. And they give him a sob story about how they're orphans and they don't have any family.
Fuck off, get out. You're ghosts, you can go wherever.
It's like, So anyway, fast forward to where we were and they go to the boathouse.
Yeah.
And I think Scrappy does find a clue, but he ends up kidnapped. And Scooby and Shaggy try to chase on the boat, or they get into a fight and end up in the boat, which springs a leak and is slowly descending into the murky depths of the lake, or river, or whatever.
Yep.
The creek.
The creek. And the Boo Brothers finally
do something that isn't completely moronic and actually lift the boat out of the water, saving Shaggy and Scooby, which they are incredibly grateful for.
And so the skeleton is, in the fire. So basically,
the Scrappy had found the final clue, which is basically
it's in the fireplace.
It's in the fireplace
Of the boathouse.
No, the fireplace of the plantation.
So they corner the skeleton and they manage to capture him.
They corner the skeleton in the mansion just as he pulls a lever on the fireplace. Which what? which triggers a slot machine on the fireplace.
What? As you can see, this last final few minutes sort of collapses on everything.
And the skeleton ghost is basically gloating about how he'd been searching for this treasure. He knew this treasure existed, and now he's finally gonna see it. And the slot machine gives him a payout, and he gets buried under the treasure.
He collapses underneath it all, except his head. So Scooby, Shaggy, and
Scrappy, they unmask him, and it turns out it's Sheriff Bixby. What are you who's calling my name? And then Sheriff Bixby comes in, except now he's got a mustache.
The real Sheriff Bixby.
Yeah, turns out the Sheriff Bixby that Shaggy and the gang had encountered was in fact TJ Bixby, not Rufus Bixby. Because
this is my twin brother. Likes to go around stealing police cars and pretending to be a sheriff.
Which is I think a federal offense.
Oh, no good, goody brother.
The treasure was mine. I finally found it. I knew it was here, and I finally found it. It's like, you're going to jail. Just give it up.
Prison, actually.
Prison, jail is the same thing.
Well, from a certain point of view. No,
Since Star Wars.
Jail and prison are not the same. Jail is for offenses less than a year and not felonies. So, yeah. The more you know.
I'll immediately forget about this fun fact.
Probably.
So anyway, they finally settle down and prepare a meal to celebrate getting the treasure. And turns out the Boo Brothers ate the entire meal before they could get it, which means that Scooby and Shaggy, throughout the entirety of this movie, have not had a bite to eat.
Yep. They are fucking
Which is shocking!
It's also like 4 in the morning and they're hungry as shit. They haven't slept at all. just as a matter of fact.
But Shaggy decides to thank the Boo Brothers for saving him by giving them the plantation.
Yep. Oh, thanks! Gee whiz! Gee willikers, mister!
I guess Shaggy just kind of put all the jewels in the Jeep, which showed back up at one point. I can't remember when.
Yep, they managed to get it out.
They managed to find it because it's not in the swamp anymore.
It sunk, and they had to wait till morning to get it out.
Except that it wound up in the tunnels.
Yeah, I don't know.
This place is weird.
The cartography of this place just doesn't make a lick of sense. But anyways, they finish up. They're rich. Shaggy's rich. By the way, he's got like a fortune of like several $1 billion now.
Probably.
Based off of all that shit that he found.
And he gives the Boo Brothers the plantation to haunt as their own.
Which is okay. But what about Farquaad? He never shows up again, eh?
The end! No, he shows up to deliver the meal that the Boo Brothers have eaten.
Right.
And then he just kind of is okay. I guess he's okay with the Boo Brothers living there.
Occupying the place. Anyway, that's the movie.
Yeah.
We really did not do it justice.
No, this was a lot better of a movie than we made it out to be.
8 out of 10 easily, but...
Yeah, I would agree.
Sorry.
We did a terrible job of representing this movie. I cannot understate that fact enough. Us just simply saying it is an understatement. This movie is a lot better than you would expect. Like, for as many problems as this movie has, they're incredibly forgivable because of how fun the movie is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not trying to be a cinematic masterpiece. It's just trying to be a fun, somewhat spooky treasure hunt adventure, which is incredibly fine. So, how would you rank this on our list of
fucking Christ, it's a lot higher than fucking...
Yeah, this is like currently at the number 1 spot for Scooby-Doo movies out of the 2. And the previous movie was so bad that there is a wide gap, even though there are only 2 on this list currently.
It's like Boo Brothers, and then like off in Denmark somewhere. It's Hollywood. Fucking
don't insult Denmark.
Off in Russia.
Okay. A little more forgiving of that.
Soviet Russia, of course.
Yes.
These goes Hollywood. Like, it's... Oh, man. That movie, every time we mention it, I cringe inside. It's that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. But this was far and away a much better movie.
A lot more polished movie, I'd say.
Oh, definitely.
It had a better idea of what it wanted to be.
The animation is a lot better than the show.
But the next movie in the series that we're doing, man, that one's great, and I don't care what anybody says.
But before that, we're gonna take another side.
Yeah, what are we watching next?
I was thinking maybe going to, I don't know, South America.
Why South America? Don't you want to go to India?
That sounds even better.
Yeah, we already went to South America. Don't you remember what happened? Don't you remember what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Nazis in Venezuela.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, next time is Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
we're not gonna hide it.
No.
Next one is Temple of Doom. Any recommendations you got?
Well, considering that we just talked about a movie involving a somewhat haunted house, how about the board game Betrayal at House on the Hill?
Ah, yes, that one.
This is a surprisingly incredibly fun and varied board game for 3 to 6 players, in which basically you and your other teammates basically explore a mansion that unfolds the further in you get, with strange occurrences and mysterious objects occurring and appearing the further in you get. And eventually you will reach a point where something will trigger and you will have to do what is basically the end game scenario for whatever game you're playing.
Right.
And it's generally somewhat random because of the nature of the game, and it is incredibly fun getting to that point. Though I will admit the end game portions are the less fun element of the game. The actual playing of the game can be incredibly fun, especially if you're just making stuff up along the way. Like, first game we actually played through, our brother, Vampire Jekyll, who actually owns the game, at one point had to chop off his own hand because it got cursed. And he was instructed to replace it with one of 2 items. One of the items being a chainsaw. So he spent the entire rest of the game as Ash Williams from The Evil Dead.
Needless to say, I think we won that. It's also the time this fucking creep started. This fucking creep became a proselytizing political... That
was one of the later games.
That was one of the later games.
But
I had the same scenario happen to me where I had to cut off my hand.
I became a political zealot.
I had the same situation happen to me where I had to cut off my hand and replace it with a random item. And...
It wasn't a chainsaw.
It wasn't a chainsaw. It was something actually funnier. I think it was like a paperweight. My hand was replaced with just like a paperweight or some shit.
I think it was like a puzzle box.
Can you unlock the puzzle? We have so much sorrow to see.
But yeah, no, the game is incredibly replayable because, like I said, there is an element of randomness to the game. Not only in just the layout of the mansion that you have to explore, which you actually have to draw pieces to add to the mansion the further in you explore, but also depending on what items or events have occurred leading up to what is known as the haunt, the actual endgame scenario will change drastically. And I have yet to play a single game in which we've encountered the same endgame scenario twice. And generally, when you reach the endgame scenario, one of the players ends up becoming the betrayer, and ends up becoming the villain who has to accomplish his goals before the other characters can accomplish theirs. And so it ends up becoming a game in which it's players, many of the other players versus the one other player, and it is a lot of fun. And earlier this week, I actually discovered that there is actually a Scooby-Doo variant of this game coming out in a couple months.
Which is nice.
I definitely want to check that out. So that is my recommendation.
Good recommendation. I don't have a recommendation as usual because I'm an idiot.
So, until next time, I've been ProtoMet.
This is my recycled balls. Man, I've been out of it lately.
You're probably tired from work.
So I'm tired from work because I got off at 2 o'clock and we're recording this at what, like 4:26? Yeah.
Wow, this is when we're actually finishing up recording.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also because I'm just bummed out. Bummed out for reasons.
Yeah, but I guess it's time to ring this episode of ProtoBalls Talk.
I don't want to. Let's rant. How was Raw? Shit.
It was fine.
How was SmackDown? Have you watched NXT yet?
I watched one episode, and that was way back when we first started doing the whole...
Alright, we don't have much else to talk about then. I guess we should end the episode.
Yeah.
Alright.
See ya.
See ya.